Namaste, everybody. I'm Don. Welcome to Smart Yoga, a channel devoted to understanding more about a yoga practice, your yoga practice. I'm talking today about setting an intention of trying to understand your children better. And this comes up in conversations I have with people. I also do life coaching, am a life coach, but even just in regular conversations with people after yoga class or just in life, trying to understand your children. Sometimes parents even lament that they don't seem to be connecting with their child. And I'm just going to briefly say, in a yoga practice, one way where I see adults lacking is not listening well enough to what their child or children are saying. So if you're a yogi or you're starting yoga, you're fairly new to it, or you've been practicing for a while, but you hadn't thought of it in these terms. First, at the beginning of class, when you're doing your centering and you're beginning to deepen your breath, that's the time to set your intention for the class. So you set your intention in this particular class for trying to understand your children better. First step in that is listening. So in the particular class, yoga is set up such that, you're doing various asanas or asanas, depending on how you inflect, various postures, poses, and you'll go from one to the next, transitioning. You'll be on the floor, you'll stand, you'll do balancing, you'll do sun salutations, balancing postures, the whole nine, then eventually culminating, you'll do twists, whatever you do. If your intention is to listen better, you can catch yourself. There are so many opportunities throughout an hour, hour and a half yoga practice for you to listen better. So often you'll see this. You'll catch yourself anticipating what the teacher is going to have you go into next, what postures. You might, whatever it may be, it might be, okay, from a twist, then onto your back or into table, down dog, up dog, all this. When you catch yourself anticipating, what you do is you stop yourself and you say, I'm not gonna anticipate. I'm gonna listen. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna stay in this posture until the instructor says go into a different posture. That habit all by itself over time will get you listening. It will orient your mind toward listening better. And your mind won't differentiate. It isn't like once your class ends at 7:30 that your mind shuts off and says, okay, back to not listening. Over time, you'll begin to listen better. And that one thing, listening better, will cause you to understand your children better. It will begin a virtuous cycle where if they sense you're trying to understand where they're coming from, they'll begin to relate to you differently. They'll begin to trust you more. They'll begin to trust conversing with you more. So, and this is even with parent-children relationships that are already good, but it can be even improved. And listening in so many relationships is so important because the other person knows that you understand them. And it's far more important for people to be understood than it is to be agreed with. So, because at least they know you care enough to know what lives in them. So, when you set your intention, let's say it is, I want to connect with my children better, or I want to connect with my spouse better, or I want to connect with whomever better. Listening is a key point. And that you have so many opportunities to shut your mind off and just listen for what the teacher is going to say about what posture to go into, or how to be in down dog with your hips or your shoulders or your wrists or your fingers, or whatever the instructor is telling you. Just shut your mind down and it'll try to move elsewhere. I mean, our minds flip a little bit, but when it does, bring it back and just say, no, I'm listening. I'm listening. And it's work. But over time, when you habitualize yourself to listening, it's very enjoyable. I know, because I had to I had to learn this. I was your standard New Jerseyan who would cut people off in conversation as soon as they gave me that tenth of a second opening. And now I'm a much, much better listener. And this, according to what people have told me. So that feedback is very valuable to me and is valuable to everybody. But listening in yoga class instead of, how did I do that last posture? How is this? How is that? Just no, no. And you can dedicate a month's worth of practices. There's no limit to how often you can set an intention to becoming a better listener. You might need 2 weeks or 4 months to learn that habit of not jumping ahead, in your mind, or not jumping to the right or left in your mind, but just staying focused on the teacher. Because then when you're in the presence of your children and they're speaking, you're not so likely to tell them they're wrong or steer the conversation elsewhere. You're far more likely to take the time to hear what they're saying and then penetrate what does that mean to them. So that's what I wanted to say about what yoga can. It's one form in which you can learn to get along with your children better, and they won't even be in class with you generally. Okay, that's what I want to say. I hope it goes well for you if that's your intention. Namaste.